Welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. Join us for the latest in news, views, and conversation with community leaders. The Pulse of Spokane is brought to you in part by Homes for You, Well Dressed Walrus, Spokane Firefighters Local 29, Creative Music Learning Center, and North Idaho Events. Now, put your finger on the Pulse of Spokane.
Well, welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. It's actually our last Pulse of 2019. Can you believe tomorrow we march right into 2020? Here we go. It's going to be an interesting time for sure. And I'd give the weather report today, but it's snow and then it's rain. So just plan on that, okay? We're going to devote this program to talk about something that's been very important in this area and often misunderstood, and that's agriculture. It's been the basis of so many jobs in the industry here in Spokane. So we're going to talk with somebody who's very knowledgeable about that right after we come back.
Think of North Idaho Events as your business development advisor. We produce events of all kinds: trade shows, themed expos, fundraisers, corporate workshops, and more. We will discover the most appropriate event that your company can most opportunistically shine. We provide the platform to feature local businesses in front of a high quantity of their ideal customer. Share your story with April Howard over a cup of coffee so she can most appropriately guide you and your business into new heights and create a most mutually beneficial relationship.
Welcome to a new kind of talk show, Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity.
Spokane Talks, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox 28.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.
Welcome back. Gary Farrell, how are you? You are the president and owner of, let me get it right, Ag Enterprise Supply.
Yes, indeed. It's a wonderful day to be here.
Yes.
The end of the year and start of the new one.
Start of the new one tomorrow. Yes, we're only, 12 hours away, actually.
Yes, bring it on.
Can you? We've had a crazy year, and that's for sure. Well, I'm going to want to ask and help our audience understand a lot of things in the agricultural community. We think we know about it because we hear about it and we see it on the promos and everything else, the wheat being harvested and so forth. But really, there's very little that those outside of the farming and agricultural community really understand. How do we best tell them the story? What is the story? What is the story of our area? Because you've been involved in this for a number of years.
Yeah, I was fortunate to be born into the agricultural industry. My granddad homesteaded. He was a cattleman. My uncle was a farmer, and that's where I grew up.
Okay.
So I learned to love agriculture at a very young age,
yes.
And it's been with me all my life.
Where was that?
It was in Troy, Idaho.
Okay.
Is where my grandfather homesteaded.
Okay.
So that's where my experience started, and he would take me out with him as he would go out to the fields, and he was mostly cattle, but he would always carry his shovel, and he'd take a shovel of dirt, and he'd grab a handful, and he'd put it up to his nose and take a big smell of it to see what was going on, and he would say, "Here, smell this. You can tell a lot about the soil." Well, the first time I did that, of course, you can imagine what happened. I got a face full of dirt. He thought that was a fun time, but all said and done.
You've never done that to your kids or anything, have you?
Well, of course not.
We'll stick with that story. Okay.
Yeah. But it taught a valuable lesson in appreciating the soil and how you have to take care of the soil or it won't take care of you. So, I was lucky at an early age to learn that side of things. And you can tell the health of the soil by the smell and the feel, the texture. And so I was very blessed to start at that that part.
I'm not
of
sure
my
I
life.
want to know what the different smells are. But
Well, you can imagine him being a cattleman. That
yeah,
there was
yeah,
some-
I was kind of
yeah,
thinking
yeah.
along that line. Yes.
And then my uncle was a grain farmer, and he
okay.
was. That's where I spent the majority of my youth growing up. You know, when we were out. Oh heavens! When we were 8 years old, we were cutting thistles in the clover fields with
Oh, wow.
hand scythe, thinking, "Man, this is the best thing in the world." We didn't know any different, but so it was great to learn, the aspect, and all through my.
Now, where was that?
adult
Was
life.
that?
That was in Troy as
Troy
well.
as well, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I had a great upbringing, and I learned a lot, and most of it has to do with the respect for the land and
Yeah.
what we do to grow the crops that we produce to feed this world that we have today. And so
Yeah.
it's
Because
It's been
we
a
at the
great
other
life.
end just think it just happens.
well, yes,
You know,
you
we
see
have
the
choices.
pictures.
Yes.
You see pictures of the end result,
Right.
and you don't see all the blood, sweat, and tears that go into producing that particular crop. It's changed a lot over the 40 plus years that I've been in the retail portion of it, serving the farm community
Right.
and crop production.
What's been some of the
supplies.
biggest change? Because you've had that 40-some years.
The biggest change, I think, Kent, now is the adoption of technologies.
Okay.
And how we're able to utilize technologies to make sound, scientific-based decisions.
So it's
to
more than
help
smelling the
community.
soil.
Absolutely, yes,
Wow.
absolutely. So that's happened in the last 10 years and is continuing to grow. And it's nice to have the opportunity to use science
Yeah.
as a basis of what we're doing to help our customers be more efficient in producing the crops that they're growing.
Now, you just kind of hinted to that as you talk about your clients. You went from the farming and cattle and smelling the soil way back as a youngster to something different now. You're serving the ag community. And in what ways do you serve the community?
My business, we serve the farm community in helping them produce their crops. We're a crop production company. So
Okay.
we work with the growers, and we go out and we do their soil testing. We determine what kind of nutrient needs they require to grow the crop that they have in each specific field. And then we make recommendations, based off of data from universities and whatnot to grow the crops that
Right.
we're trying to grow. And so
Now, you said fields, and I want to ask a question. Are you suggesting that a farmer who might have 5,000 or 10,000 acres or a different number might grow different things in different fields there?
Oh,
Because of-
definitely.
Really? Okay.
Definitely. If in the old days, an average size farm was probably 1,000 acres.
Okay,
Nowadays, if you don't have 4,500 to 5,000 acres, it's not really viable
Yeah,
so much. So in those 5,000 acres, you possibly, in some of our customer base, we have 20 to 30 different
Oh,
fields.
wow.
I mean, they may grow the same crop over
Okay.
a portion of those fields, but usually they'll have a 3 or 4 crop rotation within that cycle. So-
Okay. Because that's doing something to the soil as well, right?
Right. Yep. You grow a winter wheat crop, and then you may choose to go in with the next year with a spring crop, and then just kind of depending on what the economy is and the commodity prices are. A lot of times,
And if other countries are buying and everything else, right?
determining factor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in smaller fields, we have fields in our area that we work in mainly in eastern Washington, northern Idaho. There's from 10-acre sizes up to
Really?
we have a couple of fields that are almost 1,000 acres in size. So it's quite a diverse range of things.
How many of those are what I would call family farms?
In our area, the people that we serve, I would say that ours are probably 90% family farms.
I was
still.
going to guess above 80% at
Yeah.
least, trying to be conservative, but yeah.
And it's been a pleasure growing up in through this that I've served the grandpa on the farm.
Yes,
I've served dads on the farm.
yes.
And now have the opportunity to work with the kids, that have come back to the farm.
So what have you seen that's different with the grandkids now compared to the grandpas? 20, 30, 40 years ago? A different outlook, a more scientific, more in tune when you start talking about the science of farming?
The attention to the science and the detail and the differential of what crops they can grow, and can they grow something different than, let's say, the same old winter wheat crop they've been growing.
Right.
You know, they're probably a little more attuned to the business details.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
everybody thinks farming is you just farm, but farming is not just that, it's a business. You have to be business savvy anymore. You know, it's a big investment. Your return on your investment is critical, so
Yes.
you really have to be on top of those aspects also.
I've heard some wild numbers, and I'm not going to repeat them because I don't know how close I am, but we're talking about the harvest machines and others are thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in cost. That's quite a responsibility for a family farm, isn't it?
Well, a combine to
Yeah.
harvest crops today, you're looking at a $600,000+ investment.
Wow.
That's I recall the first combine we had on our farm that I recall buying. I think we paid $6,000 in 1968.
Wow.
So yeah, it is a huge investment, you know, but it's one of those necessities you have to have.
Oh, yeah.
To get your crop into the warehouse so that you can sell it.
Are farms sharing that, though, in the area, so that maybe one farmer and then they take it down to Walla Walla or something early and come back?
You know, not in certain areas of the U.S., yes, that's
Okay.
true. There's custom harvesters, you know, that'll start in Texas and work their way up through the Midwest.
Right.
Not so much in the Northwest.
Okay.
Every once in a while, you know, folks will get together and help each other,
Right.
you know, if need be. But most of the customers have their own equipment. A lot of them have turned to leasing
Okay.
the combines now as opposed to outright purchasing them.
Okay.
So-
How long is a combine usually good for, though? I mean, we talk about way back when I first bought a car and had a car, you know, they were good for a couple of years. Of course, you didn't buy new as a kid, you know, high school student and so forth. And today you buy a car and 100 or 150 or 200,000 miles is nothing to a new car because they're built now to last that way. What about combines? Have they improved where they can, or are the changes such that you really need to change every decade or so?
Well, there's a whole different dynamic, I guess, in what they're looking at nowadays. The investment, of course, is a huge thing, and then looking at in terms of depreciation and all of the other financial things that go along with making those decisions. You know, I mean, they'll last as long as you want to put money into them. They're
Okay,
like anything. When you use them,
like a car.
use them hard. You know, they have wear points that wear, and so they're in a constant need of state of repair. So, you know, it just kind of depends on how many acres you're trying to harvest with the combine over the course of a year.
My guess is because you and your company work with so many of the farmers in our area and so forth, you become part of their community, don't you?
Absolutely.
I mean, you go to their weddings and everything else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Because they're your friends.
Well, that's what endears me to my customers.
Yes.
They're not just customers. They are our friends.
Right.
And we have a commitment of being a partner with them, you know. If we do things right by them, they succeed.
Yeah.
And if they don't succeed, we're not going to succeed. So yes, we've been really blessed. I have over the years to have developed some really wonderful friendships that, you know, have lasted for as long as I've been in this industry. And so it is an aspect that really keeps you going each and every day, and knowing that you are a partner.
I get to see my friend Fred or whatever.
Absolutely.
And help them. Yeah. Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about more of what you're doing right now, right after this break.
Here at Creative Music Learning Center, we are dedicated to your learning no matter where you are on your journey. Whether you are a beginner, a casual player, or need some brushing up on technique, we are here for you. When you begin lessons with us, our teachers take the time to understand what kind of learner you are and how we can help you further your knowledge, offering a variety of instruments including piano, guitar, voice, violin, and more. We are here and ready to get started with you.
I had no idea how to be an adult, let alone a mom. I grew up in over 20 foster homes, so I partied to escape. I wanted to change, but I had no idea what to do. UGM showed me that healing begins with the heart, with understanding how much we are loved by a good God. My kids and I started over with a whole new foundation. Real people, real change. Union Gospel Mission.
Think of North Idaho Events as your business development advisor. We produce events of all kinds: trade shows, themed expos, fundraisers, corporate workshops, and more. We will discover the most appropriate event that your company can most opportunistically shine. We provide the platform to feature local businesses in front of a high quantity of their ideal customer. Share your story with April Howard over a cup of coffee so she can most appropriately guide you and your business into new heights and create a most mutually beneficial relationship.
Welcome to a new kind of talk show, Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity.
Spokane Talks, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox 28.
Well, welcome back. Gary Farrell with Ag Enterprise Supply. I have to look down because I want to be sure I get it correct. We were talking about, you've been doing this in the business for 45 years or so. I mean,
yes.
This is in your DNA, isn't it?
Well, my original DNA, the concept was to go back to the farm.
Yeah.
Once I left college, and at that point in time, in the 70s, early 70s, it just wasn't financially feasible. So all of a sudden, I had to go find something else to do with my life and find a career that was fitting. I tried a couple of things in the outside world, outside of agriculture, and that just wasn't me and who I was. So I thought, okay, next best thing is get into the retail fertilizer business, which I did, and started in 1975.
Okay.
Out in Wilbur, Washington, working for a retail company out there. I started as a management trainee, quote unquote, which meant you were the bookkeeper.
You did everything.
You were the janitor.
And you emptied the wastebasket, at night.
You were the wheel bearing packer and the pump rebuilder and the fertilizer
We've all
delivery
been
person.
there.
Yeah.
You know, and I love it today with some of these young people that talk about, I just want to become vice president of a company. Welcome to the real world, because we've all rolled up our sleeves and done it from emptying wastebaskets to being eventually CEO of your own company. What made you decide to start your company?
I guess, Kendall, when I was growing up and coming in through the industry, I was put into corporate America, and being somewhat not able to fit in the box they were trying to put me in, and as much as I'm Irish, which I just tends to lead me outside of the lines of the coloring or outside of the box. So
Right.
I've always wanted to be
Well, you're a farm boy
self-employed.
at heart.
Yeah,
We know
exactly.
that,
Yes.
okay?
You know, so it's hard to work inside of the confines of the corporate America. So I tried, didn't work.
Yeah.
And so I kept wanting to do my own thing, and finally I had gotten into the wholesale business, and I started calling on my ex-partner, actually, that started our company, and I serviced him for several years, and then there was a downsizing in the wholesale company I was working for, and he asked me to come work with him, and I thought, you know what, at that point in time in my life, I had nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Right.
So I had the
And here you
opportunity
are.
to be my own boss, and you know, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
You know, I started with him in 1986. It was just basically me, myself, and I trying to eke out a living.
Yep.
That wasn't easy. I had several different jobs to make ends meet, you know, but it was good. It was a humbling
But you learn a
experience.
lot from that, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you learn that you only get the rewards that you work for.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and you don't have to worry about somebody else coming along and tell you how to do your job when they had no clue to begin with. what was going on.
Yeah.
So, you know, that aspect, or somebody pulling the rug out from under you for whatever reason. So anyway, long story short, it's been a wonderful experience. You know, those first, 9 years was basically on my own. I then hired my one of my friend's sons who had graduated from WSU and was looking for something to do, and I was able to talk him into coming to work with me. And so, you know, it was an uphill battle because we
Yeah.
were the small independent
Yep.
trying to fight with all the huge companies
Yeah, but you
out
could
there.
offer something that the big guys can't, and that's that real personalized service that a small business can do. And when you know people and you know their family, and you get in your truck and take something down because they need it today, and not have it FedExed out the next day and arrive 2 days later. I mean, that's really what endures you to the customers, your friends out there.
Well, you know, my theory all along is to treat our customers in the same manner I'd expect to be treated if I was on that side of the
Yeah.
fence. So yes, it is, you know, and you really bust it when you have to.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there comes a time when things slow down and you can make up for that somewhat.
Right.
But, you know, it's the point that you have their best interests
Yeah.
at heart, and you earn their trust and respect. So they know that if they call and ask me for something or advice or want me to scout a field, they know I'm not going to sell them a bill of goods
Right,
just for the
right.
sake of selling them something, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So that's been the thing that's really endeared me to my customer base
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah, I've done that in my past too, where I've told a client buying on my TV station, meaning one of the others in town here or something, when I was there, isn't the best investment right now. Save some money, and so you can do it right and so forth. And I think that honest talk is what you would want if you were on the other side, rather than make the sale.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
It's trust.
It-
You know,
it-
it's
it
all about
absolutely is.
trust
Yeah.
and doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And you know, be upfront with people. Just say, hey, this will work, or no, it won't work.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that you mentioned when you and I met a couple of weeks ago now, and it stuck in my pea brain up here, and that was, there's so much discussion today about chemicals out there. And I was surprised when you told me how much chemical goes on an acre of land and in planting. I probably, like so many people out there, thought we were talking about gallons of stuff, but it's not that, is it?
Not in this day and age. In the old days, yes, it
Okay.
was. You
Right,
know,
right,
when
right.
the old 2,4-Ds were used. I mean, it was you know, 2 quarts to an acre or more of different products. The chemistry evolution has changed really dynamically, you know, over the last 20 years. And so there are products that we use today for controlling broadleaf weeds in a winter wheat crop, let's say, that we're applying at anywhere from 1/10 of 1 ounce.
Wait. 1/10 of 1 ounce.
1 ounce.
Not 1 ounce, but 1/10 of
A
1
tenth.
ounce.
Yes, so 1 ounce would do 10 acres, if you can fathom that idea.
Wow.
Yeah, you're talking like a drop of water in an Olympic-sized swimming pool.
Yeah.
So the chemistries have changed significantly, thank goodness. You know, and the thing of it is not only the potency and the effect of controlling the weed spectrum that we have to deal with to keep their crops clean.
Sure.
So they're not being at a disadvantage for not having that. But the safety factor is just incredible. The product I was mentioning at 1/10 of an ounce per acre, you know, everybody says, well, it's got to be sublethal. I says, you would die from eating table salt before you would if you were to eat
Really?
the raw chemical. Yes, it's unbelievable.
I mean, absolutely. Wow.
The chemistries we have are the most highly regulated
Yes.
and the most highly researched. From the
Right.
time a chemical is brought out as a concept,
Right.
it's anywhere from 8 to 10 years before it actually goes out retail into the field.
Wow.
Because of the testing.
So they know everything by.
Absolutely.
Wow.
You know, and an inordinate amount of time goes in the testing and
Yeah.
the safety aspect of it, you know. So
That's just absolutely amazing. That's why I appreciate you, because I've learned so much from you about agriculture. Let's talk about, just as we close the program here, about your business. What is it that you do for your clients? What services do you provide?
we provide our agronomists to go out to their fields Prior to planting, we will go out and we'll soil test their fields for them to determine what their fertility needs are.
Okay.
Nowadays, we have the new nutrient management programs that we're promoting, and so we're using precision technologies. We take the data from their combining that produces a yield map of what the yield was over the field.
Okay, so it's measuring as it's going through the process?
Yes, as it's harvesting. So it actually generates a map for us that we can download at the end of the field, so we know where the yields were better than the others. And we break that down into 3 different regions within the field. You have a high production region, you have a medium production, and then a low production. So we break that out into a map. We load that into our iPads, and we determine where we want to go out and take soil tests. So we'll soil test each one of those zones individually to determine what the nutrient needs are. So before, we used to always just go do 1 or 2 soil tests and make a broadcast application.
That must therefore apply to the whole area.
Yeah,
Right.
the umbrella approach, which I never agreed with. But now that we have technologies, we don't have to. So. But we can go out and determine then from that the zone's nutrient needs.
Wow.
So at that point in time, then the agronomist will go out and he'll put all this information on the computer, and he'll make a recommendation based on those needs per each of those zones. Then when they go out to plant their crop, they're now planting and fertilizing at the same time. So we can put into the computer that's applying the fertilizer, okay, you're at this particular geographic location in the field.
Welcome to GPS, right?
Yeah, GPS, you need to be putting on this amount of nutrients. And as he goes along and crosses over into a different zone, it tells the machine, okay, you need to cut back on fertilizer in this zone. It's really incredible. It's just allowed us to be so much more efficient and put the nutrients where they belong.
Yeah.
And then they're able to generate a bigger return on their investment, because those high production areas before weren't getting enough nutrients to get the maximum production.
Right.
So now we have the nutrients where they belong, so they're increasing their productivity as well as the cost savings.
Yeah. I got to ask, when you meet with some of the grandpas, the older folks that are no longer probably as active out there because it's their kids and their grandkids doing it now, and you start talking and showing them all of this, what kind of reactions do you get from the old crowd that used to go out and smell the soil?
It's really interesting that you ask, because some of those folks are just wowed.
Yeah.
They are. They're just in awe. Yeah. They just go, my gosh, I didn't ever think in my life. And I says, well, we're sitting here having this discussion today, and so this is where we're at. And so a lot of them are very interested.
Yeah,
they don't understand the technology behind it, which is fine. It's like when you buy a watch, you don't have to. You don't have to worry about how it's built. You just want to know what time it is. And so those most of them are really into it.
I would think so, because they've sunk a lot of time and energy in it over the years, and they want it to be successful, and are glad that the grandsons and granddaughters are knowledgeable enough to interpret some of that, though.
Well, because they don't even want to climb on the piece of equipment that has all this technology hardly anymore.
Oh, okay.
They says, okay, well, that's great, but what if something goes wrong? I says, well, don't worry, it'll correct itself. But no, so it's good and it's fun, and getting back to what we do. So we do that for them to be able to plant the crop. Excellent. We also go out and scout their crops to determine if there's any what weed control problems they have and what we should use to take care of that. And if they have an insect problem, we'll look for that, or if they have a fungicide problem, we can go help them with that. So we, like I say, it's a partnership.
Yes.
From the very get-go, when we determine what we're going to do from one year to the next, and then we set a plan out of action of what needs to be done, and we utilize our technologies to the best of our abilities now, and try and make it as efficient and economical for the growers as we possibly can.
Well, I can only imagine the friends that you have out there meeting your clients and customers. You're such an easy guy to talk with, and you're so friendly, and you obviously have made lots of friends in our area. How can people get in touch with you?
You know, they can call us at
Okay.
the Cheney. Our main headquarters is
Okay.
in Cheney.
Okay.
We're available there. We have a wonderful website.
Okay, good.
agenterprise.com.
Okay.
So we'd welcome people to take a look at our website, and we try and show a little bit about what we do there as well. So, yeah, it's a wonderful world. You
Yeah.
know, they're great people. They're hardworking people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just great to be associated
Yeah.
with them.
Are you getting enough of the farming to get into that DNA in you by doing this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You know, I was not sure at first when I made
Yeah.
the decision to move into this, but you know, the best part is instead of farming one little farm, I get to farm hundreds of thousands of acres
and hundreds
of farms.
of friends
And friends,
as well
yes,
to go see,
absolutely,
and that
you
really
know.
makes a difference too.
Partners.
Because
you
when
know.
you got your 5,000 acre place, you're focused on that, and
Yeah,
sometimes it's
indeed.
hard to get out
You know.
and so forth.
So I feel very blessed, very blessed.
Gary, thank you for all you do. Thanks for
Thank you.
some education today. I learned a lot. I hope our viewers did too.
I hope so.
And we're looking forward to doing some more on agriculture in our area, and we're going to be
Great.
talking about that too.
Look forward
Thanks
to
for
it.
watching. Have a happy new year. See you next year in 2020.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Welcome to a new kind of talk show, Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity.
Spokane Talks, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox 28.
O'Brien Logistics would like to invite you to try our local and regional transportation services. With Sprinter vans, lift gates, hot shot flatbeds, and expedited services, our people are ready to step in and help with your transportation needs. Our services are 24/7, 365, and we are trained and prepared to handle air cargo and Canadian shipments. Give us a call at 208-305-2311 or visit our website at o'brienlogistics.net. That's OBRIEN logistics.net.
Spokane is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksMedia.com, which is solely responsible for its content. The Pulse of Spokane is brought to you in part by Homes for You, Well Dressed Walrus, Spokane Firefighters Local 29, Creative Music Learning Center, and North Idaho Events. Ask the host a question, recommend a guest, or hear this program again on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com.